A look back at the Henry Hudson Parkway with your host, Crazy New York Driver. Hey everybody, how's it going? Today is October the 18th, 2009. I had a car show scheduled for today. It got rained out, postponed till next week, so I figured I'd make a couple of informative videos. Earlier, I made a video about the West Side Highway, and right now we're doing its sister, which is the Henry Hudson Parkway, which is basically just a continuation of the West Side Highway further north. Both highways were built by legendary builder Robert Moses and were state-of-the-art for their time. However, you must keep in mind both highways were constructed back in the 40s, and times have changed a lot since then. Let's take a look at the Henry Hudson Parkway now, and let's see some of these changes. The area you're looking at now, and will be for the next few shots, is located directly underneath the George Washington Bridge. These particular pictures in this segment were taken approximately 1982, and this is the southbound side heading downtown. The guardrail you see in front of you is there because people were driving stolen cars into the park and they were stripping them. That was a big thing in the mid-80s, was stripping cars, stealing them and stripping them. But anyway, this section of the Henry Hudson Parkway is elevated, and as you can see there's a left-hand entrance ramp onto the parkway, which is a very bad thing, because when you're in the left lane driving 55 miles an hour and you get a guy creeping on, that's a recipe for trouble, don't you think? This area was always old and decrepit as long as I've known it, and back on the day I was there was a very large pothole, as you can see right about now. You'll take a look at it and you'll see there it is. Now, it's not the deepest hole, but the important part of this story is that this is an elevated highway, and that hole is what they call a see-through hole. The underneath of the highway has rotted away, so if you walk out into the middle of the road and look in, you're going to see the ground below, the railroad tracks underneath the highway. It's what they call a see-through hole. And the rebar, as you can see, is exposed. I'm going to take a walk out to the middle of the road here and take a picture of it so you can see it better. There it is. Pretty nasty looking. Imagine hitting that with your car. Like I said, it's not the deepest hole. It's just scary to think there's nothing between you and the 100-foot drop underneath the highway. Now, shortly, I'm actually going to take you under there, and we're going to go for a look at what the underside used to look like before they redid it. I would say they redid this highway, oh gosh, in the early 90s. This particular picture was taken in 82, and I just happened to be cruising by there a few years later, and I came across another see-through hole down to China, so I took a picture of that. And you can see that there. This picture was taken with a cheesy Polaroid camera, which was the only camera I had in the car at the time. But what I'd like to show you now is what it looks underneath, how bad the infrastructure was before they fixed it. So I got off at 158th Street, and I backtracked and actually drove the car onto the railroad tracks. See the railroad tracks are on your right there? Now the structure on the left is the 158th Street Viaduct. And right where the car is there on the left, look at all the wood planking that was constructed to shore up the pillars. The pillars are all rusted and rotten away, and the concrete has fallen out. In a moment, I'm going to get a closer shot so you can get a better look. I mean, this was serious, folks. I'm not kidding. Now, look there. If you look at the very top, I mean, you have to really look close. You can see the girders are actually rotted through. Look at that. You can see the concrete has fallen out, and those 2x4s have been screwed into place to give additional needed support. Now keep in mind, this highway is for cars only, not trucks. If a heavy truck gets on there, I don't even want to think what's going to happen. But we'll get back to that in a minute. To get back to the top of the Henry Hudson Parkway, now we're looking downtown, southbound, from the George Washington Bridge area. On the right side, you'll notice the heavy cast iron guardrail. And right about where the car is on the road, you'll see several of those steel plates out in the road covering those through holes we spoke of earlier. Back then, that's the way they fixed them. They would just take a big steel plate and put it over the hole. They didn't believe in repairing anything. I hated those plates so much. They actually felt worse than going over the hole itself because they took up the whole lane. But as you can see, the one common denominator with every picture you've seen, although they were taken on different dates, is every day was cloudy. Now, doesn't that seem strange to you? I swear to God, we got the worst weather of the United States here in the Northeast. Today, it's cloudy, raining, and 42 degrees on October the 18th. That's how cold it is. It's terrible out. So I figured I'd put my time to good use, and I'd make a couple of videos today. Again, we're looking at the Hudson Parkway. This is the southbound side, but I happen to be facing north. It was a Sunday morning, and there was no traffic. And that's what I used to do back then. You know, I'd go out, I'd take shots of the various highways and log them in my book and keep track of the changes. Today, this highway is entirely concrete. It's smooth as silk, and people are often doing 75 and 80 miles an hour. You might have heard a story on the news last week where a lady was driving drunk with 6 little girls in the car and flipped the car over. Well, this was the highway she was on. They improved it to such an extent that people do 80 miles an hour on it. And the sun glare is phenomenal. You don't want to drive on this highway on the rare times we get a sunny day because it's just so bright it hurts your eyes. And of course, you got to deal with the graffiti. People love to write graffiti on the divider of a concrete road. That's something I've been noticing. But anyhow, this was a look at the Hudson Parkway. And I want to bring up one more thing before I cut it to a close. This is a highway for cars only, not trucks. Trucks are not allowed on any parkways. And the main reason is because the bridges are too low. Of course, now and then, an out-of-town trucker will get lost and get on, like this poor guy right here. I happened to be driving on the Hudson on this day, and I spotted this guy stuck. He got as far as he could go before the 254th Street Bridge. So what I did was I helped the guy out, and I backed him off. Because if I would have left him there, a highway cop would have written him up. But in a future video, I'm going to do oversized trucks on the parkways. I got a lot of pictures of them. Anyway, thanks for watching this video. I'm Crazy New York Driver, and you're not. Please leave some comments below, rate the video, and tell me what you want to see. Thank you. Bye.